Welcome to another episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. This episode comes from beautiful Athens. I'm fresh off the plane and I get to sit down with Pare Gerou. She is a very intelligent woman back home in the United States, a refugee lawyer. She has been to war zones around the world, working and just making a difference. She's returned to Greece, moved here during the pandemic, and now she is building Greece's very first co-housing community. It's absolutely exciting. This doesn't exist here in Greece, and she's spearheading that, an absolute trailblazer. We're gonna learn about the community she's building, people from around the world joining, the property, where it's located. It's a very exciting story, so make sure to tune into this episode starting now. My name is George Stroumboulis, and I'm extremely passionate about traveling the world, meeting new people, and learning about new businesses. Join me as I sit down with other entrepreneurs to learn about their journeys. This episode of Invigorate Your Business starts now. Actually, you know what? We're going to jump into this right now.
Okay.
Sitting in Athens, Greece with Pare, and I'm very excited to talk about something I know nothing about co-housing, just in general. I have my ideas, right? Misconceptions. When I hear co-housing, it's, hippie village, no shoes.
That's right. No, we're not
kumbaya, right?
That's right.
But it's a whole other world. So we're going to start and really dissect this for the listener, because I think it's important just for people to understand what you're doing. And, Greek American, successful lawyer, studied at the top universities, decided to come to Greece and set up a co-housing community, the first one in Greece, which is tremendous. So please introduce yourself.
What do you want me to say about myself?
Let's start, where are you from originally, and how did you lead to get here to Greece and start this?
Well, the path to this project began in the summers when my father took me to the beautiful island of Lesbos. And I spent my summers swimming in the sea and eating loukoumades and just fell in love with Greece. And years later, as I was working in my career, which is refugee law, I happened to decide to live in a co-housing community in Michigan at the time. And I fell in love with co-housing. It really just immediately, viscerally felt like a different way to live. And it just became a heart space for me. And although I had to leave it, it's always been something that's been present in my mind along with Greece. And during the pandemic, I decided I really wanted both of them, and they didn't exist in Greece. So I decided if I wanted co-housing in Greece, I had to do it myself.
So co-housing in Greece, and you're trying to marry this together.
I am, yes.
Right? So please define, what is co-housing?
Yes, people have misconceptions about co-housing. It is very mainstream, and it's not kumbaya, although, some people can sing kumbaya if they want to, but we're not singing kumbaya on a daily basis. Co-housing can be called a design movement. It's not a development. It's really a movement. It's a cause. And some people call it a design movement. It's community-led. So the community themselves lead this project and create this village. It's values-led. So the community of people who start this are coming from a place of shared vision and values. So it's community-led, it's values-led, and it's design-led. Every single detail of the community is thought through and designed by the community in a way that connects them with each other more deeply and connects them with the land. So
community, value, design, those are essentially the three pillars. Okay,
that's my, look, you can Google it. You'll see TED Talks, You'll see books, you'll see PhD theses. But for the Greek audience, I think that really captures it, because at heart, it's about village. But it's different than a Greek village. I've lived in one, and I loved living in that Greek village, but it's not the same as living in co-housing.
So even going back to Michigan right now, before you even moved in there, you did 5 years in a co-housing.
I did.
Okay.
I had a wonderful time in Touchstone, my favorite place. Hi, Touchstone.
Touchstone. But how does someone even go through your career in the States and then decide, yep, I'm going to move to Michigan and live in a co-housing? What resonated with you to even want to do that?
Well, for me, it was during the pandemic. And, we all during the pandemic looked in the mirror. All of us, we were alone in our rooms or in our families, and I have always wanted to return to Greece, and I love cohousing. And in the pandemic, I looked at my age and I looked at my dreams, and I decided carpe diem. I didn't want to live another 10 years of my life, wasted for, in the United States, paying high health insurance fees. I wanted to live my dream, and that's why I did it. It was a pandemic baby.
Yeah.
So we've really mostly all worked together, this community, online from all over the world.
This one here in Greece.
The one that is building in Greece at the moment, the very first one, is an international community, and we've mostly always been online together over Zoom. Every 3 or 4 months, we do meet those of us who can afford it in Greece on our land, and we do design together and work together in workshops with our wonderful developers. But it was a pandemic baby, and it's an international group, and we're on Zoom most of the time.
So you're modest and you're saying we, right? Obviously there's a community and you have a team and you have advisors and great people that are helping you.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this is your idea. Like there would be no we if you didn't say, hey, I'm bringing a co-housing community. I want to create this. Now let me build the we team around me, right? Isn't that like you're the catalyst of this?
We call them in co-housing burning souls. I was the burning soul. Sometimes it's a small group. In this case, because it was the pandemic, it was me. And because this is a pioneering project and it was complex and challenging, it has largely been me for a while, but it isn't anymore.
Okay.
And that's the whole idea. And we use a social design, a governance method called sociocracy.
Sociocracy.
And that's how we operate. But beyond the sphere of our community working together using sociocracy, you've got me consulting with the group and making sure that this project succeeds and goes forward. And that was needed in this particular case. And I think in Greece.
In Greece.
Yeah.
So the end goal of this community, what does it look like? And then we'll go backwards and go step by step on like what's needed to get there. But what is the end goal? Is it apartments? Is it homes? Are they arranged in a community? Like what does this perfect world look like that you're creating?
Well, the end goal is first and foremost an intentional community of people. The end goal are people that choose each other, almost like a chosen extended family. So the end goal has a lot to do with being part of a tribe and connecting with others and having something more meaningful. So that really has nothing to do with the buildings. But in addition to the intentional community of people, we're designing together this village, and it happens to have, in our case, 34 homes and a beautiful common house. And as I said, every aspect of this is carefully designed. The number of homes was chosen because it gives us somewhere between like 40 and 65 adults. And empirical studies tell us that if we get above around 60 adults, people don't make decisions well together. Look at anybody's HOA. Dysfunctionality because there's too many people trying to make decisions.
Right.
If you put a little less than 60 and you organize them in sociocratic circles where people feel like their voice is heard, then communities tend to thrive. And that's why co-housing communities around the world have wait lists.
Okay. So this will have 34 essential homes.
Exactly.
Right? And are those individual?
Completely private homes. Private homes with private spaces. I'm an introvert. This isn't just for extroverts. In fact, there was a PhD study, and there are more introverts living in co-housing than there are extroverts. So private spaces, but then you have this beautiful, beautiful public space, our common house.
So what's in a common house? So that you cook together, you play together, work out. Is that what?
Yeah.
So no kitchens in the homes, individual kitchens?
Absolutely. We have our own kitchens. But part of the social design is that we are committed to cooking and eating together several times a week. And it's one of the reasons that we get along so well.
Right.
Because any village is going to have conflict. But if you cook and eat together and you get to know each other, it softens those moments when you're really pissed at each other.
Yeah, which happens, yeah.
Because you know about each other. You understand why that person is acting the way they are, or you know that a year ago they helped you with this, or they're always there for that. It helps to cook and eat together. You know, everybody knows that.
Absolutely.
So we cook and eat together. That's one of our social, and we celebrate together our milestones, people's birthdays, when people achieve things. We're committed to doing that. It's a social compact. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like an extended chosen family that has a social compact. We're going to care about each other. We don't necessarily always, you know, love everybody in the group, but we're committed to caring about each other and using that beautiful common house to share time together.
Absolutely. And of the 60 people, are there kids typically in these communities? And then what do you need to have for kids? Like from a make-up social area? Yeah. Is it different amenities, or what do you put in there?
Well, you know, different communities do different things. There is senior co-housing all over the world, and then there's also multigenerational co-housing.
Okay.
And the group decides. Our group wanted multigenerational co-housing, and there are features designed for each of the generations. And for the kids, we have a beautiful, in this particular property, in this beautiful, larger community called Peter and Paul's Wellness and Lifestyle Communities that we're part of. There'll actually be a couple of co-housing villages in it.
Oh, wow.
And there's some beautiful features that are designed for the whole community, but kids are going to love it. We're going to have a shared soccer field and basketball and pools and pickleball and gardens and hiking. And so there's a lot to do.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So already you have people part of this group that you've spearheaded, right? So there's people from around the world.
Yes.
What does that look like? Like geographically, where are people coming from? Where's interest coming in? It's
truly an international village, and we very much want it to be international, including Greeks. This week, we had a new Explorer member join from Kenya. And then we had another couple join from Canada. And today I had 2 people from Tel Aviv reach out. So it truly is international. We've got somebody from Amsterdam. We just have people from all over the world because they're attracted by this. It speaks to people universally.
Absolutely. So there's communes, there's co-living, and then there's co-housing. Can you just go through each one? Because I'm sure there's, again, misconceptions, what one is, what one isn't, starting with commune.
Yes. Well, basically co-housing is an intentional community, and there's several different types. And, one is co-living, but we're not co-living. We each have our own private homes. Our private homes tend to have smaller footprints because we have this shared common house, and that's one way to live more sustainably.
Sure.
You don't need tools for yourself and your neighbor has the same tools. Just put our tools in the common house and, and use them. So that's one of the really important features is that this group from around the world comes together, shares these spaces, and lives more sustainably. And we live sustainably several different ways. We share spaces, but we also are trying to very much live a lighter footprint. It's not only like a higher quality life that we're trying to achieve, but a lighter footprint life that is in more connection with the land.
Okay. So geographically now, Greece is big, thousands of islands. Your first location, this location is going to be in Sparti, Greece, right?
Yes.
20 minutes to the ocean.
Yes.
How did you go about even deciding this is the perfect location? Like, why Sparti?
We were so lucky. When we began this search of looking for just the right developer, because it takes a developer who's willing to work with the group to design a custom village or to renovate a custom village. We looked all over, and we probably would have failed, as many intentional communities do, had it not been for a wonderful force in our life, the former ambassador to Greece from Canada, Robert Peck, who happens to be out of screenshot. But he was highly instrumental in bringing us together. And so it was happenstance that we found the right developers and the right land. And what we found is really spectacular. It was a sociocratically unanimous decision to choose this particular location for this particular community. It's just a beautiful place.
It's just And speaking of Ambassador Peck and his wife Maria, just incredible people.
Yes.
Always willing to help if they get behind the cause, right? And they're passionate about. So you're meeting the right people, right? To really spearhead it.
We've been very lucky.
Yeah. And you mentioned Peter and Paul's like this resort. So it's basically the co-housing will be on this property. Can you speak to that? Like how?
Again, very lucky. You know, everything in life, you can work hard unless you have luck. And we were very lucky twice because this land that we chose for this project is within something larger. Co-housing is its own village, and we will own our own village, our land, our homes, our common house. But we happen to have chose something inside a larger community called Peter and Paul's Wellness and Lifestyle Village,
which doesn't exist yet. It's being developed.
It's a project in development, but it is actually being developed at the time. At this moment, they've broken ground. So it is something that I think people from around the world would be interested in, who love a sort of a healthier, more meaningful lifestyle in beautiful natural mountain environment, and that enjoy being in kind of an agrihood, a place where little villages are dotted and with the best food on earth, and where you can just go out and have fresh vegetables and wonderful meat. And we love to cook and eat. So putting ourselves in the middle of this beautiful agrihood was, everybody's excited about all the food around us that we'll be able to
oh my God.
Go down to Yifio and get fish, use the olive oil, literally won the Best in the World award.
Absolutely.
There's just, the food in that region is just tremendous.
Oh my God. Could you explain to me what is a successful community look like in numbers? If you have 34 homes, is it once you hit 20 homes, that's enough for a community to exist? Like, I'm just curious, like what a successful versus unsuccessful community looks like. Like if families start pulling out, not on this, but in general, like what does an unsuccessful co-housing community look like?
Well, families don't pull out of completed communities. They're waitlist for most co-housing. And you're from Canada, it's extremely difficult to get into some of the few co-housing communities that exist in Canada. They all have wait lists.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything for sale in any of them. I could be wrong. And the ones that are being built is a wonderful one, Treehouse, co-housing eco-village. And they're almost finished building, and only 3 units are available. So we will be full before we're finished building.
Okay.
And we design together and work together now. We're a community now, not
even before.
That's right.
And how many years out will this be? Is it like 2 years out until the community's?
But you asked about what's not successful, and you're right. Intentional community, because it's community led, it fails a lot. Only 1 out of 6 intentional communities succeed to the build stage.
Oh, wow.
Because we're amateurs. It's hard to live your values. It's not an easy task. And that's why this project is so amazing in Peter and Paul's Wellness and Lifestyle Village. Because we're breaking ground. There's no question that we're building, because they've begun to build. We haven't actually broken ground on the buildings yet, but it's just a short matter of time.
It's right there.
So other communities, there was just an article that came out in the local newspaper last week about a community that didn't succeed because they couldn't get the land, and the land was too expensive in their area. And so, yes, communities do fail. That's the reality of intentional community. But I personally follow through on my projects, and I haven't failed at any of the projects that I've started. And this one's going to be really something beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if I'm betting money, I'm going to bet that this is going to succeed and kick ass.
I don't keep working if I think I'm going to fail. And I know this is going to be something really special. And I've got a couple of groups that are interested in starting something as well. Greece is a beautiful place to start a project like this.
Absolutely.
I think the chances of something failing in Greece are less than in other countries. We've got a lot of factors here that make for success.
Sure. This is a new thing, though, to Greece. Co-housing does not exist here right now.
true, but the developers here understand the concept of village far better than developers in other countries. It's just part of their DNA.
You're right.
Our developer, one of them, is from the village down below us. We don't have to explain to him how to design for better connection.
He lives it. He knows it.
That.
Yeah.
This isn't brain surgery, but it does require some specific architectural design and some specific social design. Other than that, it's a village.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there legislation that needs to be written because this is new? Like, how are you handling that?
It's going to be very difficult for someone to try this themselves and to have it be authentic co-housing. It's taken me full-time 3 years of very hard work. It's not easy, and it's not easy in any country. Ideally, we would have some very specific legislation for permitting and zoning and things like that, because it's a sustainable type of development. And very few countries have zoning and permitting for sustainable development. For instance, one of the sustainable features is that we have our homes fairly dense, like a true village. And the land is open around us, so that more people can share it. And it's held in common. You can't zone for that. You can't build that in Greece easily, nor can you in Canada, because I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but ekdos and endos skodio, I can't say it correctly.
In or out of.
Yes, the municipal boundaries, those square meter, house per square meter land requirements, essentially are going to take up Greece's land. Mm-hmm. So it's not
minimum of 4 acres to build one home or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really set up for villas. Yep. And you know, that's not sustainable for the Greek people or for foreigners who want to come and be part of this beautiful country.
Absolutely.
You have to preserve the land, keep it, it's precious. So put the houses closer together like a real village used to be, and have the land available for everyone. That's
for sure.
Idea.
Can you share what a price point will be or look like, a range? Like if I'm a family or a couple and I want to move in here, is it 100,000? Is it $1 million? Like what's the range that someone needs to buy in to get into one? Well,
I mean, look, around the world, co-housing varies tremendously, and each group decides what kind of price points they're willing. So the group, for instance, outside of Patras that wants to start something, they're looking for something, quite affordable for young families. And so they'll make design choices for that. Okay. This particular group, because we're inside this larger resort, is looking at some resort amenities that aren't really part of co-housing, but we all just couldn't resist. Right. It's really cool there. And so new build and resort facilities, aren't going to be super affordable for everyone. Our home prices are looking to be somewhere between, I would say, if you include the cost of the land that we're purchasing and the cost of the common house that we're purchasing, and you add those prices to the cost of the home, then we're talking somewhere between 300 and about 650,000 euro. Okay. And you get a 2-bedroom type home for that? But you get a percentage ownership of a huge common house with the most beautiful co-working space, a beautiful indoor-outdoor kitchen, dining space, lounge, yoga room, weight room. Your home is just one small part of this community. And we want our homes to be smaller footprint. So yes, you get that, a 2-bedroom for, 400, 450. But you're getting your percentage in the common house, and it's not a clubhouse. Right. It's an extension of your home. You're going to be going into that common house several times a day at least. Some people, spend lots of time there. Sure. Some married people are just so happy for that common house. Yes. They can go to the library of the common house and come back. It really helps relationships. Yeah. Divorce rates will just decline living there. Actually, it's mutually supportive. It really makes a difference in life to have a village. Right. If you're raising kids, if you're in a long-term relationship, it's nice to have those so that you're not always relying on one relationship to meet all your needs. Absolutely. I want to ask, I know Bob, Peck, and Maria are a little camera shy, but we're going to include you. Anything that we should be talking with Pare on this that we're not covering, just from the co-housing in Greece, the excitement?
I think you've really covered
Yeah, it's an exciting project. And I feel, again, I don't know anything about co-housing, but I'm just thinking of Greece and how many people just want to come here and the digital nomads. It seems like a no-brainer. It seems like those units are going to be filled up quick.
I think it's a model. It's not just one community, but it's a model for a better way to live. If you are a remote worker and you're in some cold climate and you're not happy there, our co-working space is amazing, and you'll be working just a few steps from your house, and you'll have people who love being part of your children's lives and enriching your children's lives, and you'll have multilingual people, and it's a new way to live, and it's a way that we very much want to include our Greek neighbors all around us, what we're calling our local Greek heroes. We're really trying to model a community that integrates Greek residents with foreign residents, because in Greece, the developments tend to be expat enclaves and Greek enclaves, and it's very difficult as a new build project to integrate them, but we're trying very much. We've got these campaigns, our local Greek heroes campaign and a refugee home campaign that we're putting on GoFundMe, and we're looking for opportunities to raise money to buy down the cost of some of our homes so that Greek teachers, Greek firefighters, people that have wages, these low wages in Greece, can purchase a home for something that's reasonable for their income level. And it's really tough. There's not a lot of support for that. So we're looking for private support, even in tiny amounts.
That's incredible.
Start adding up.
So I understand part of this community, you don't want it just to be expats or foreign. You want the local firefighter who barely makes €1,000 or whatever they make, because they're going to contribute to the community and grow this, right? It's
not a charity. We need them.
You need them. Yeah, absolutely.
We need to learn Greek. We need to learn how to live in Greece. We need Greeks in our community. And it's not sustainable for Greece to be building, expat bubbles and then, separate enclaves for affordable housing. If you try to integrate them, it's just going to lead to, much healthier, happier, thriving communities, at least in our opinion. Absolutely. And that's why, we're trying to be values led.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Sounds promising.
Thank you.
Marketing material. So right now, if someone's listening to this, where can they go? Are there images on proposed what it's going to look like? Is there any collateral on this right now?
Yes. We made a little website, GreekVillageCohousing.com. It's homemade, so it's not made by a developer, and you can tell.
But you got the information up there right now.
All of the information is up there, and our character, our personality is in there too. You've got, as you open up the page, you'll see a beautiful watercolor by an artist in LA who was just, out of the goodness of her heart, painted this for us. She's one of the creative directors of DreamWork Pictures, and she was inspired by our project.
What's her name?
Kirsten Kawamura. She did a lot of the work for How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We have a lot of supporters like that have given to us because they want to see us succeed, and you'll see that on our website. You'll see Ambassador Peck and his wife on our website under our bios, and you'll see material that our members have put together, and you can go to one of our Friday information coffees.
Okay. And where are those hosted right now?
On Zoom, because we're from all over the world.
Okay.
Miriam will come from Amsterdam and go on Zoom, and Obio will come from Kenya and be on Zoom, and you can come and we'll give you a little presentation, show you some photos, and you can talk to us and learn about whether it resonates for you to live your values and to live a more meaningful life in better connection with each other in the land.
And those are every Friday. So if they go to the website, we'll put the links up. Every Friday you host those. Mm-hmm. And it's basically like a Q&A. You learn about it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. That's exciting.
Just to add, I think it would be good if, because people will ask, a diverse group of people together, how do you make decisions? I think you should dissect sociocracy a little bit. Like it's really kind of achieving a consensus, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe you could add that in. How does that work? Because folks will say, well, how do you bring all this disparate number of people together?
Yes.
To come up with a common.
And it's a common thing. Everybody says, oh, I don't want that because
it sounds more complicated than it is, but maybe you could ask.
That's a great point. Was it Lord of the Flies or was it Lord of the Flies?
Lord of the Flies.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yes,
That's all I think of right now.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's a great point. We'll jump in. So you have this community, right? What happens when there's someone or a group of people that are just not, when there's conflict?
Yes.
I know everyone kind of self-polices.
Yes.
But someone has to lead, no? Or a group has to lead for this to succeed?
Yeah. Well, actually, what's beautiful about cohousing is that it has a whole social infrastructure. And not only does each community have a social infrastructure that helps make conflict much easier to manage, but we also have the wider cohousing world that helps us. So it's a bunch of cohousing communities all over the world that are helping each other. They're talking together. They've got professionals that come in. It's an amazing thing. We have conferences. Right. It's a whole world out there. Within your community, using sociocracy, we have circles for conflict resolution. So you no longer have to, suffer for 40 years, like in some Greek villages, not talking to Maria because, 12 years ago you fought over, something or other. That doesn't happen because you have some place to go and you have somebody to talk to about it. And then once you talk to them, there's a process that you can go through. Is it a perfect process? No. But it's a process that works because when people move into cohousing, they don't move out. People, if you
studies show that, like when they move in,
and just websites show it.
Okay,
you'll go to like Cherry Hill Cohousing. They're about 20 years old. Almost all of the founders are still there. I think two of them one has died and one left, but all the original group is there. They have never had a single home on the market. Never. In 20
larger
years,
community, or
in 20 years, all of those homes, none of them have ever gone on the market.
Wow.
So something has to be working, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if of course they have conflict, but they resolve it in ways that are manageable using sociocracy within the community. And then if that isn't working and you've done your sociocratic circle and, you don't feel like you're being heard, then you actually have people to reach out to. You can reach out to Laird Schaub, who teaches courses in a organization called Intentional Communities, IC.org. He teaches classes and he's like a doctor. You can call him up and say, Laird, my community is not doing X, blah, blah, blah. He will come and he will, or over Zoom, and he will mediate and help. And he's done this for decades.
Right.
Or you can reach out to Ted and Jerry at Cherry Hill Cohousing. They have an entire wonderful organization called SOFA, Sociocracy for All.
Okay.
And they can come into your community and say, hey, this isn't working for you because this part of your system is such and such. Or you can just reach out to friends in other communities, which I do on a weekly basis.
Even now, while you're
I'll reach out to wonderful Rains Cohen of Berkeley Cohousing. I'll say, Rains, this isn't working. This person is doing X and Y. What do I do?
Are these all, so like Cherry, Rains, are they all US based cohouse?
They're from all over the world. There are many people in Canada there's a new book that one of the professionals from Canada just published last week called Community-Led Housing. They're from Belgium. They're from Denmark. They're from many places, but because I'm American, I happen to know a lot of the people in America that
absolutely,
they're just part of people that I've gotten to know over the last 20 years of interest in cohousing.
Well, I think it's good for the listeners to also know about your background. Like you're not just some random person that came here to do cohousing, extremely successful in what you've done over the years, like highly educated, lawyer, right? Refugee.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
But I mean, your resume is your resume, right? And then you decided to move here. But talk about some of the other stuff you've done back in the States. I'm very cause oriented. I mean, this really isn't a development or real estate development project. This is, a model of another way to live. And so for me, it's a cause. Mm-hmm. And that's been where I've found my value in life, promoting causes that I believed in and being kind of entrepreneurial around them. I started my career out of law school, and instead of practicing law, I actually created a refugee resettlement agency for a large NGO, International Rescue Committee, and it still exists and is thriving. Wow. When did you set that up?
That was right out of law school. That's what I did out of law school, and my parents were
Wow.
appalled because it's basically social work. But I loved
All
it.
this
It's
money
what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I did do the legal work of bringing their family members and naturalizing them, but it was, not as lucrative.
Right.
But I loved it. And then I went from there to developing the refugee law clinic at University of Virginia. And again, that was something I just proposed myself. And I also proposed and started a legal aid organization in Greece for refugees, trying to get them out of Greece and into the rest of Europe where they had family members. So
How recent was that? Like during the Syria?
that was during the crisis, yes. And that organization still exists and is thriving as well.
Wow. So you set that up because you were back in the States and saw
Yes.
what was going on?
My family's island is Lesbos.
Love it.
So
there.
I knew what was happening even before it was on the news. So
Wow.
yeah.
There's still there's a photo, it was in the media, whether it was propaganda or not, there's a photo that's just ingrained in my, you know which one I'm talking about
course.
for life, that
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, we all
my
know
God.
that photo.
it's
Yeah.
just, when I saw that, my oldest at the time was 3. And I just remember like this poor kid, regardless of politics or whatever, was just coming with their family for a better life,
Yeah.
face down on the beach. And I'm like, Jesus.
Well, look, the refugee topic is a really difficult one because on the one hand, our hearts all go out to the refugees, but on the other hand, Greece has suffered also, being a country that has just been pummeled by need and few resources to help. So in the cohousing, as a cohousing consultant, I don't have any particular political view that I'm trying to espouse. But I recognize on both sides the difficulties. But our community, our cohousing community, does want to take people who have legal refugee status, and we like the idea of providing a home to them for a couple of years to help them get started and have an infrastructure to help support them, like from Ukraine or things like that. And so we do have a GoFundMe page for that, and that's one of our aspirations. We'll hopefully get people to give small amounts so that we can set aside one home and help people. And again, those are people who have legal refugee status. We're not about bringing people into our community that do not have legal status in Greece.
Which is great, right? Like you can only do so much, but if someone's making the effort, coming here, trying to become legal, then it's a different conversation.
It's a supportive environment for foreigners who want to transition. We're trying to mutually help each other in our transition. Being an expat, some of the transitional issues are the same. How do we set up a bank account? How do we get our affinity? All of those issues are really challenging, and it takes a long time, and it's really nice to have a support system and somebody to have coffee with and complain. And we were just talking about that, Eleni and Paul and I. Eleni and Paul are from Toronto.
Okay.
And they're new members. And we were just talking about how, the bureaucracy in Greece can be challenging, but what's beautiful about Greece is that the culture is about connecting.
Well, you were talking about just setting up companies here and people being registered, but kind of leads us to the last segment, growing up in the States, knowing what the system is like there, right?
Yes.
It's, consumption, production, go, but there is a system set up for success. If you work hard, you could succeed there. Greece is different, right? People still have aspirations. People still want to produce, but the system is different here, more challenging. So just talk to us, what are those major hurdles that you faced or are facing? Sorry, there's flies in here. But those challenges that you're facing right now.
I'd say this. Everybody knows that Greece can be challenging in terms of bureaucracy to start anything. But I personally felt that I needed to leave the United States. I wasn't happy there anymore. And I think I represent a large group of people that are not happy living in the States anymore. Even people with children are coming toward me in large numbers and saying, I'm not so sure that this is the best place to raise my child anymore. We have this dream of starting a Montessori school, and I think it's going to happen. And there are a lot of parents that are looking for kind of progressive education opportunities and an opportunity to raise their child in another culture. So it's definitely true that Greece has a lot of hurdles that can be put up, but it's also true that there's a culture of community, of health, of healthy eating, of just enjoying life.
Yeah.
And enjoying holidays. And that just doesn't exist anymore in the United States.
Absolutely.
So my answer to your question is, okay, yeah, there's plenty of problems in Greece. Nobody disputes that. But my heart is here. I've been here now as a new citizen only 8 months. And every day I'm thankful for that. I just love it here. It's not a perfect place, but neither is the United States. And for me, and I think for a lot of people from Canada, from the United States, from places in Northern Europe, from Australia, they're ready for Greece. You see that in the numbers. Greece is really a special place. And I think a lot of us are just very happy to be here, regardless of all its problems. It's more good than problems.
Absolutely. Well, and you said it, you didn't just show up here. You've been here long enough where a lot of people back home will come here for vacation for a month or 2 weeks and life is better there. Well, sure it is when you come in July and you're vacationing and you're having the best meals.
Yes.
You could go anywhere in the world for vacation.
That's right.
It's going to be great. But when you actually come here, there's a lot of headaches and red tape and everything. Sure.
Amen.
Canada's
so
no
true.
different, right?
Yeah.
Like anytime you're dealing with government agencies, don't be offended, right? Like government's government wherever you go. So you're going to have.
I mean, but people, it's true that there are some things in the Greek bureaucratic system of governance that are not as efficient. But if you can just step back from some of those bureaucratic inefficiencies, when I got my dad's birth certificate in Lesbos, I had to go 4 times to the office. The first time they said, oh, that's Vivi, and she's on vacation. You'll have to come back in 3 days. I said, can't anybody else get me my father's birth certificate? She said, oh, no, Vivi.
Just Vivi.
So I had to wait for Vivi. And when I came back, when she was off of her break, I happened to come at, I think, about 1 o'clock. Oh, Vivi's at lunch. Well, you're here. Can I get it? So, and then when I came back the third time, it happened to be a holiday that I wasn't aware of, and the office was closed. So it took me 4 times. But I got my father's birth certificate. And yes, that's a story about, imperfection. But at the same time, Vivi was with her family. And that's what they valued. Not always being at work and being perfectly efficient. I actually want that for myself. Sure. I want to be sitting at I had a coffee with a real estate agent yesterday, right after seeing my home. And nobody in the United States would just sit and have coffee with you after doing something bureaucratic for you. So look, you have to enjoy life and take those bureaucratic moments and turn them into something that you can live with. And for me, I was okay with going 4 times. And when I finally met Vivi, we had a long conversation. And now every time I go there, she's there. And she knows me and I know her and we have a great time.
Right. But that's the point.
We have a connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a connection and I know her husband's name because I learned it and, so.
Now that's Greece, right? You get that whole.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you in closing, how do people get in contact with you directly? Are you the point person if someone wants to get more information?
So if you are interested in co-housing, either our project or any other, the best thing to do is to look on our website and start learning a little bit about co-housing. You'll see videos there. The website is Greek Village Cohousing, COHOUSING.com.
Okay.
And we've got videos from PBS. We've got TED Talks on there. And then we've got information about our own project. And at the bottom, you have a form you can fill out. And if you're interested, you can come to one of our Friday coffees on Zoom and learn a little bit more about co-housing and meet some of our members.
Exciting. I learned a lot today as well. And I can't wait to actually see the property as well. Like once it's all
I
said
hope
and done.
so. I hope you'll come out because it's
We'll
really
do a
something
follow-up.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Please hit the subscribe and like buttons and follow me on all the main podcast streaming channels. Also, please share your comments when you can. I appreciate your help in expanding this network to a worldwide audience. Until next time, stay invigorated.